Welcome back everyone, it's Nicola Cairncross here, and by a strange set of coincidences, rather spooky, which I'm going to describe in another video, I've decided to make a video today about the 4 ways to start a small business with $0. That's a very specific title, isn't it? So we'll take it that it means pounds as well. And funnily enough, when I sat down to think about the kind of businesses that I would start from home, working from home with $0, they rather neatly fitted into 4 categories, which is rather wonderful. So the first thing before I start is I just want to say that you're going to need to work out on each of them what the average profit margin is, because when you haven't got any money, it's rather important that you start to make some rather quickly. And what a lot of people do when they start a business from home is that they start a business that doesn't make much profit. The profit margins for those who are just getting started in business are the cost of doing something or making something taken away from what you can sell it for. And that's another big mistake that a lot of people working from home make. They don't sell things for enough money. So that's something you've got to really be diligent about doing research for, because you might assume that everyone's as skint as you, because presumably if you're trying to start a business with no money, you're either extremely canny or you're rather skint. So you will assume that nobody's got any money just like you. And the thing to do with that is to not assume that at all, but to go out and find what other people are selling the same kind of thing for. And the difference between that, what you can sell it for, and what it's going to cost you to make or produce or deliver, then that's your profit margin. And you've got to think about how much you need to live on a month, and then how many things you'll need to sell in that month to make a profit that's big enough to cover your profit margin. And then, you know, at a later point, you need to talk about all the usual stuff like tax and national insurance and all that business. But you don't need to worry about that yet. What you need to do is get your business up and running, and then you can consult a bookkeeper or an accountant who can help you with the other stuff. But you need to test the proof of concept first. Test that there is a market for what you want to sell or do or make. Test that there's a market for it first, and then once you've got over that, the first hurdle of that, then work out how you're going to get in front of that market, in front of big numbers of that market ideally, and whether it's going to make you a big enough profit to live on. So let's start with the 4 different categories, shall we? The first one is product, is to create a product. Now, you're either going to make a product, which means manufacturing, which means buying all the parts in, which you don't want to do because that's not starting a business with $0, is it? So your best bet is to make a digital product, because apart from your time, making a digital product does not cost any money. It's really drawing on your expertise or your knowledge, or the expertise or knowledge of somebody else that you might know. Don't imagine it has to be you all the time. So yes, I've got one of my videos, which I'll flash up the screen for here, covers that, how to make a digital product in quite a lot of details. I've also got a rather good 1-hour training course on how to actually produce a profitable online course. So if you know how to do something, or you know someone who knows how to do something, then that's a great place to start. So I would definitely be thinking about that. The other thing you could do on the product front is think about someone else's product and become an affiliate marketer. This isn't a long-term goal. It's a good way to get started, and many internet marketers, including myself, have made money from affiliate marketing. That's where you go to find someone whose product you like and that you think you can sell, and you get a special link from them. Even people like HelloFresh do this nowadays. So if you think you can sell a lot of HelloFresh memberships, then go and get yourself a HelloFresh affiliate link, and then start sending traffic their way, and you will start to make affiliate income. So products can be yours, can be someone you know, or it could be someone else's product that's already made. It can be an online course, it can be drawn from expertise, it can be delivered in all kinds of ways. So that's the way to go. The other thing is you could also create a product that you could sell locally, for example, through things like local associations and things like that. So think in terms, when you think in terms of a product, think in terms of educational product, think in terms of all different kinds of digital products, not necessarily a physical product. Just finally on that note, one of my most favourite products of all time was a long-handled spider catcher, and I bought that from a bloke who made it in his shed, and it would have been made out of bits of old plastic and wood. So, you know, don't overlook the fact that you might know how to make something that's in your shed or your garage that somebody else would pay for. I would pay at least up to 50 quid for another long-handled spider catcher, and I did take pictures, so if there's anyone else out there looking who thinks they could make a prototype from my pictures, then I would be very happy to pay a decent price for it, because I've never seen a product like it ever since, and mine broke, which is heartbreaking. Okay, so going on to the next topic of how to start a small business for $0 is how to make things. Often making things does require a little bit of investment, but you know, wool and fabric and ingredients is what we're going to be talking about here, because what we're going to talk about is, can you knit something? Can you sew something? Can you make something to order, like cooking, for example, or can you grow something? So often, for example, in the case of knitting, if someone wants an Aran sweater, they'll be happy to pay up front for the wool, and then you agree a price for you actually doing it, which you could work out roughly by working out how many hours it's going to take you to knit it, and add a decent profit margin on top of that, at least 50 to 100%. And a person who would really love an Aran sweater to fit would probably pay it. So don't discount things like knitting, crocheting, sewing. I mean, as things get more and more expensive, clothes get more and more expensive, it's going to become more fashionable to sew again. You could actually make a very good living making clothes for people if you know how to do that, as I do. So, but I only stopped because it became easier to buy stuff in. I love silk, linen and wool and cotton, and I couldn't get anything really nice around in the Worthing area that was fashionable when I was growing up. So I used to make stuff for all my friends and make a rather decent living at that. So it may well be that your sewing skills are going to come back into fashion as things become more expensive to buy. Cooking. Lots of people make a fantastic living out of making celebratory cakes of all kinds. They're not cheap, I know that for sure. But when someone's got a birthday coming along and you want something special for them, people will pay it. Do some investigation as to what cake making for celebration events costs around your way, and then if you're capable of making cakes and you're either capable of icing them especially already, or you could learn how to do that, then you might as well start offering those services, because people will pay for them. I know that because I have paid for many a special birthday cake myself. The next one, and perhaps possibly the first one you should think of, is services. Services have a very high markup and they are very low investment. The kind of services that I'm thinking of are, you could do house sitting, you could do cat sitting, you could do dog sitting. People just want someone to live in their house while they're living abroad, or going abroad for a month or 3 months. And while you might not actually get paid to do that, it will save you rent. I know several people who do not have to pay for rent at all, because they've got a nice big stable of clients who they literally move from house to house and look after their houses while they're away. So while you might not be getting paid very much to do those things, people tend to get paid more if it involves walking a dog, for example. But cat sitting and house sitting generally is not paid very much, or if so, it's only paid a little bit. But think you're probably saving £1,300 a month, plus all the rates, plus all the bills. So that's quite a decent living when you think about it, isn't it? It takes a while to get going and you need someone to stay with in between, but it can be done. I know several people that do it. Don't overlook the humble babysitting service. You know, if you get to know people in the area and you're a single person and you love children, or perhaps your children are grown up, so you can prove that you've actually brought some up safely, then babysitting is pretty good as an hourly rate, as is cleaning. Cleaning's going for about £15 an hour at the moment, which is about $17 to $18, I think. So that's a very good service to offer. People always need cleaners. They always need babysitters. Gardening is the other one. You know, lots of old people getting older, lots of boomers getting older with plenty of money and not wanting to let their gardens go. The other thing is that people are often willing to let you garden in their garden for growing vegetables, so that you give them a share of your haul. Nobody can eat as much as they grow normally, so giving the person who owns the garden is quite a good idea. Some of your produce is quite a good idea, isn't it? So that's another thing. Or you could just charge someone to garden and look after their garden. I mean, this like window cleaning just seems to be a service that people can never get enough of. And once you've built up a good stable of clients by turning up it's actually quite easy to do a good service on these things. Just turn up, do what you say you're going to do, don't overcharge, don't let people down, and be honest and tidy up after you. Those are the qualities that most people look for. If you've got any kind of DIY skills, that's another one. Lots of people need DIY people, and there are quite a few things. TaskRabbit, I think, is one in the UK, where you can actually put yourself on to TaskRabbit and say which kind of DIY skills you're prepared to offer. And it's a bit like Uber, you know, you can pick it up and put it down and do it when it suits you. And one that just sprung to mind for me recently, because I've just learned how to do my family tree on Ancestry, and I'm absolutely desperate for more people to do their family tree. I absolutely love it. I've done all my family tree as far back as I can possibly go, and I've done everybody else that's within a radius of me as well. So the thing that you could do is learn how to use Ancestry really well, offer a family tree making service, and then at one point you actually get to print out the whole list. So for example, my 22nd great grandfather is Robert the Bruce of Scotland. I know, I was amazed. There's a thing you can print out that shows your name at the bottom, and it literally lists it lists out every bit of the familial relationship. So Nicola Cairncross is the son of Thomas Clark Cochrane Mackenzie, and it goes back and back and back like that. So then you can actually offer, as well as do the service, which you could perhaps offer as a sort of loss leader. So you don't earn very much on the actual service, but you can say to people, if we come across anyone interesting, I can print off the lineage from you to that person, print it on really nice paper and get it framed for you. So that's a physical product that you could offer on the back of your Ancestry services. I quite like that idea myself, I must say. And the final one of the four is what I call hooking up services. Not in that way, don't get excited. I've known several people who've made a lot of money from hooking up one kind of person to another kind of person. My previous business partner Judith used to have a cleaning biz service where she didn't go out and clean herself, but she hooked up cleaners to people who needed cleaners, and she did that by postcode. And she had about a 21 postcode cleaning business by the time she'd finished. But she ran it exactly the same in each area. And then towards the end, she was actually licensing off new postcodes. So people who wanted a business came to her. She taught them how to run a cleaning business in their postcode in her way, following her system that had worked for years and years and years. So the other thing was, when just lockdown was getting going, I was starting a website, a directory website, because that's how you can do it if you don't want to see people in person. I was starting a directory website for all the accommodation owners in Stupa. A lot of them were on Airbnb, a lot of them were on booking.com, but a lot of them were losing a lot of money by being on those services. So they wanted someone who would help them to reach their customers, because they were all absolutely rubbish at doing websites in those days. Got a lot better recently, but when the was it Thomas Cook, I think, went bust, or one of the travel agents went bust, and they were left without being paid for the season they just had, and their customers had no way to find them for the season forthcoming. So my website was just listing literally the name of the place, some pictures of the place, an email address and a phone number, so that everyone could contact each other. And if it wasn't for lockdown stopping people travelling completely, that was got to be the worst timing of any of my businesses, I've got to say. But there is a rather nice bit of software. So if you're techie, or if you've got a friend who's techie, you can set up a website using the Geo directory software, and it will literally set up a directory of anything you want. I mean, it's so customizable, it's brilliant. And it's not very expensive at all. I realise this is a video about getting started with zero, but theoretically you could put the software for a year on a credit card, or get someone else to invest. I think it's about $350 for the year, and get someone to come in with you as a business partner and stump up the initial cash. In fact, any business can be started with that, with other people's money, as long as you make them a partner and you tell them realistically when you expect to be able to make enough to pay them back. A lot of people are looking for investments in this day and age. Other examples might be the veg box services, which is where you get a directory of farm shops or local food producers. You hook up people who are looking for veg box deliveries or dairy box deliveries or meat. I mean, my sister said to me the other day, do you want to buy half a cow with me? Because one of the local farms is offering direct meat sales, which has got to be so much cheaper. And also you're buying from a farm that you actually know, you can go and visit, you can see how the animals live. And I think that's just the most brilliant idea. Now, don't think this has already been done to death just because you've had loads of leaflets through your door. When I was looking for a veg delivery service, I found only 1 or 2 in the entire Brighton area. And you'd think that Brighton would have been really well covered for that, wouldn't you? So just to recap, we've been through 4 ways to set up a small business from home with $0. And those were products, yours or other people's, making things, all different kinds of arts and crafts or cookery or whatever, offering a service, any kind of service that you're good at using your expertise or using somebody else's expertise. And that's probably the place to start because that's where probably the best profit margins are. And finally, hooking up, where you hook up one set of people with another set of people, and you provide the service that hooks them up between. And you can actually charge for advertising, so you don't actually charge the people who are being hooked up, or you can charge one side or the other. So, for example, if you're hooking up a bunch of people who are traditionally bad at marketing, they're more likely to pay if they're the business people while you're supplying the customers. So I hope this helps, and I'd love to see questions below, so don't hesitate to ask if you've got a glimmer of an idea. I've also got a rather nice video that helps you take your idea from an idea to getting traction. So I'll put that as a video to watch after this video. And yeah, great to talk to you again, and I will speak to you tomorrow.